It's 31 October 2020 and this morning I read this question in our newspaper. Translated it says, is it possible that our healthcare is too efficient? And the answer is yes. Healthcare is complex by nature. And one thing that we have learned is that complex systems cannot be optimized. Efficiency is a characteristic of an optimized system, so there's a tension. Today I will focus on this tension by explaining the difference between a simple problem and the complex problem. I start with a relatively simple issue, stock management in a shop, for example toothbrushes or washing machines. When I have too little in stock, I often have to disappoint customers and perhaps I lose customers because I cannot deliver always. When I have too many in stock, I need a huge investment and also I need a lot of storage space. So somewhere in the middle between too little and too much, you will find the optimized solution. There it is exactly good. So what we can learn is relatively simple issues can be optimized. Complex issues are different. There you discover a landscape, we call it a survival landscape, with attractors and repulsors. Somehow it looks like an optimization issue because at the hills it's attractive to be and in the valleys it's less attractive to be. So the higher the better. However, there's a big difference because the landscape is changing. It develops continuously. And hills can become valleys and valleys can become hills. Also, you're surrounded by a fog, so you cannot see that far. And you're with several people and other people can think in a different way. And you realize that if you want to go to another attractor, another hill, you have to go through a valley. I showed you 4 characteristics of a complex issue. There's a changing landscape, so every optimization is temporary. You're surrounded by fog, so nobody oversees the whole. There's a lot of uncertainty and sometimes we talk about structural uncertainty. You're with several people, so there are different images and views about how to act. And when you want to go to another hill, you have to go through a valley. There are no ups without downs, so don't be surprised when resistance emerges. The conclusion is that complex issues cannot be optimized. They ask for a strategy of adaptation and navigation. There are many examples of changing landscapes, and I'm going to show you 3. The first one is about the Noordoostpolder in the north of the Netherlands. It's land made out of sea. It became dry in the middle of the Second World War, so after the war, the planners had opportunity to construct an ideal polder, optimized. The Frisian clay polder served as a model, and they planned one city, Emmeloord, in the middle, with a ring of villages around it. And they also planned farms with housing for agricultural workers nearby, small houses. But then, while they were constructing the polder, the moped appeared and agriculture workers were able to live in Emmeloord. So they had to adapt the plan. The second example is about healthcare. In the Netherlands, healthcare is optimized, and especially in the last decades. Redundant hospitals are closed, the staff is minimized, and salaries are kept low. Besides that, there is a tight management, a lot of control, and also a lot of control. In principle, that worked brilliantly. However, suddenly everything changed, and then we discovered that we were not able to handle the situation. The third example is about climate change. In principle, water management in the Netherlands was very well organized. Now we realize we have to anticipate a change due to more discharge and longer periods without rain. And the big lessons from the past is that if you approach a complex system as a simple one, you will regret it. So we have to act. The big question, of course, is when a landscape is changing, how can I see that? And now I come back to episode 7, where I introduced 3 steps for coping with complexity. And I think the main point is that we have a genuine interest in what's happening in reality. Not in a model and not in statistics, in reality. In episode 4, I explained that complex processes develop themselves at the edge of chaos, in the area between order and chaos, where small causes can have huge consequences. And that's also what you see. Every major development starts small, in the margin, in reality. So it's a challenge to have a genuine interest in what's happening in that margin. And only then you can respond appropriately. Not in a way like COVID-19 is in China, it will stay there. Or, well, there is climate change, but we only have to act tomorrow. However, to be able to anticipate, you need leeway, slack. And the problem with fully optimized systems is that they do not have any slack. The result is a lock-in. We stay where we are and our response is too slow. Well, I showed that there's a difference between a simple issue and a complex issue. The main conclusion is, if it's complex, please approach it as complex. In the next episode, I will focus on imaging and confidence. I hope to see you again. Till then, hoi!